Hello everyone and welcome to my screencast about dialects and accents, especially the British ones. To get started, let's take a closer look at language versus dialect. When is a language not a language? When it's a dialect perhaps? There's no universally accepted answer. Some say that languages like French or Italian are just dialects of Latin and that Geordie and Cockney are languages. They're just being difficult. A language is always evolving, often without clear borders. For example, a dialect of a language can become an official language. Serbian and Croatian, both official languages, are dialects of Serbo-Croatian. But English, which is spoken in numerous places all across the world, has a lot of standard dialects and they are not recognized as languages. Since there is no clear answer, let's move on to dialects and places. Let's agree that a dialect is a variant of a language, usually regional. They can be so regional that one word is only used in one town or place. Lanarkey, which means soft or floppy, is only found in the town of Grangemore in Yorkshire. When traveling to England, you can stumble upon an isogloss, which is a phenomenon when the language tremendously changes over a small place. For example, the th hardens into a d. Language is the only thing affected by dialects. Dialects affect history as well. This will be shown in my next chapter, Remembrance Through Dialects. Every dialect bears history. So does Yorkshire Tyke. The traces of people that have come and gone and the work they did. It's all in the layers of speech, often without us knowing it. Ian Macmillan, a poet, says, "Whenever I speak in my voice, my dialect, behind me, in a huge line, are standing all people who spoke like me." This describes the feeling that dialect has hidden history. The sentence, "Come on kleertit, vreemtissen," is made up in the times of the coal mines. There it had the meaning, "Come on idiot, get on with it." Nowadays its meaning is still the same, but we don't use it very often. Only some locals, mostly old people, tend to use these words. But dialects weren't that loved a few decades ago. This will become clear in the next part. English received pronunciation and dialects. A generation or so ago, children were told to avoid speaking in their dialects if they wanted to get on in life, because speaking in anything other than received pronunciation, the Queen's English, was regarded as a social disadvantage. The idea was to speak in a way that revealed nothing about your social background. Received pronunciation developed from what was an essentially regional accent in the southeast of England. When William Caxton set up the first English printing press, he chose that accent as standard English because this was the most populous area in Britain and also inhabiting the royal court. Yet again, we'll stumble upon some history in the next part. With the start of the Industrial Revolution, the development of public boarding schools like Eton and Rugby established the received pronunciation as a standard voice of the English gentleman once more, and the launch of the British Broadcasting Company or the BBC confirmed the place of received pronunciation as the accent of the educated middle class. That's why nowadays received pronunciation is often called BBC English. But the BBC broke tradition during the Second World War. Then it hired a Yorkshireman, Wilfred Pickles. They thought it would be more difficult for the Germans to impersonate a regional accent. This is the only time throughout all its history that the BBC used dialect on public radio. But people in Britain spoke on different ways, and not only regions affected their accents, so did the social positions. Some might have already sorted out that there's a clear difference in accent and dialect between the English upper class and the aspiring middle classes. As said by Professor Alan Ross, the upper class wasn't necessarily better dressed, richer or anything else. The only thing that distinguished them from the middle class was their language. Can a non-U speaker become a U speaker? The question that many have asked already, but the answer is no. In this matter, U speakers will have ears to hear that one single pronunciation, word or phrase to brand an apparent speaker as a non-U speaker. Now let's take a look on how dialects and accents are used today. Dialects and accents nowadays. Our story ends in a call center in Newcastle. A lot of English people are at work in the branch. Dialects are pure gold dust, since some of them make people feel at ease or they are pleasant to hear, like Geordie or Yorkshire, or act to be very trustworthy, like Scottish. Sadly enough, some accents don't fare so well, like Liverpudlian Scouse. People should be proud of their accent and should not try to hide it nowadays, since one's accent can be filled with history. Be proud of where you're from and speak your dialect or accents. This was my presentation about dialects and accents. I hope you enjoyed it.